Hi, everybody. This is Wayne Sadin, host of the Future CXO and Board channel of Acceleration Economy. And today I'm filling in for Bob Evans, and I'm very thrilled and excited to have been asked to do this. This episode is brought to you by Cloud Wars Expo. It's running June 28th to 30th at Moscone Center in San Francisco, California. I'll be leading tracks and sessions alongside Bob, founder of Cloud Wars, and the rest of my analyst colleagues at Acceleration Economy. Please go to cloudwarsexpo.com to learn more and join me there. Let's have this discussion in person in California. So today I'm looking at a report that came out, Trend Micro and Ponemon Institute survey, second half, cybersecurity survey, second half 2021. I don't have Bob's board, but I do have my tablet, so I wrote some notes. The headline, over 3/4 of global organizations think they will be breached in 2022. 25% said it's very likely. 34% of those in North America said that. And the article goes on to say there's an elevated risk of cybersecurity incidents and breaches. And by the way, in 2021, the same group, 84% of them suffered one or more breaches in their organization last year, and 35% suffered 7 or more successful attacks last year. You read this and you think the sky is falling, and you think it's just getting worse. Now, let's take a look behind that headline at the 13-page report and the executive summary that they've issued. First of all, we learned the risk declined. That especially in North America, the risk between 2020 and the end of 2021 went down substantially. So this is the first thing we should be aware of. Both the threat went down and our ability to handle it went up. So this is good news, not so much bad news. The other thing, when I look at these numbers, I see that 36% of the people answering were very familiar with cybersecurity in their organization. 36% were familiar, and 28% were somewhat familiar. There was no other category. There is no category. So let me ask you a question. Do you want your SOX opinion delivered by somebody somewhat familiar with your controls? Do you want your financials delivered by a CFO that's somewhat familiar with your financials? Do you want your surgeon to be somewhat familiar with your case? I wouldn't. So why do I want somebody that's only somewhat familiar with cybersecurity answering how risky things are in my company? The other number I saw was 35% of the people answering had full responsibility for cyber, 37% had some responsibility, and 28% had only minimum responsibility. Again, there was not at all. So only about a third of the people were really in the deep control to answer these questions about cybersecurity. And the last statistic that got my eyebrows up was 27% of the respondents were directors, VPs, or senior VP level. The rest of the answers, 3/4 of them, were given by people who were analysts and consultants and help desk people and so on, all through the organization. And questions like, is your cybersecurity budget adequate? What are you doing about infrastructure? What's the chance of your organization being breached? They're opinion questions that require, in my view, a fairly high level of knowledge, of hands-on experience, and of specific decision-making responsibility for questions like budget and predicting risk. All I can say, folks, look, I don't want to minimize cybersecurity. The risk is there. The risk is real. It isn't going away. Now, I will say the cloud does help with a lot, but not all. But I've got to tell you that your credibility walking into a boardroom is such that if you bring in numbers, if I was sitting on the board, I would be tearing you apart with this stuff. Not saying the methodology, not saying the survey doesn't tell you good information, but telling you there's enough glaring questions in there that you should read, as always, behind the headlines and consider what's going on in your organization, not what's going on kind of in the world at large. Speaking for Bob, thank you all for listening. Talk to you later.